this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is the Logitech G903 Lightspeed. This is a mouse that's been around for a while, but one that I wanted to do a video on because I'm going to compare it to the G502 Lightspeed that I have also unboxed, and the Razer Basilisk Ultimate that I'll do as a separate video. And I wanted to do a mini unboxing and overview of this mouse, as it is an interesting device with a number of pretty cool features to it. First of all, it's an ambidextrous gaming mouse and a premium device that works in both wired and wireless mode. It also has adjustable weight system on it that I'll show you in a minute. Now, it has an ambidextrous design that you'll see includes no traditional thumb rests and a pretty symmetrical look and feel to it, but it also has customizable thumb buttons that you can set up on the both left and right hand side of the mouse. I'll show you that in a bit more depth if you stick with me. It also has a very pointy and angry looking design to it, and a maximum of 11 programmable buttons that can be customized within the G-Hub software. Now I'm going to show you the G-Hub software at the end of this video, so be sure to stick with me to see all that goodness as well. You'll note it also comes with this nifty little carry case, which inside houses the extra weight and the wireless adapter dongle that you'll see there, and the buttons that I was talking about earlier. So you see there's a blanking plate, and there's also some buttons that you can swap out to change and customize the look and feel of this mouse to be the way you want it, which is pretty nifty. Now, the G502 that I looked at before had a weight system to it too, but this one basically only includes one 10-gram weight. Now, I'll include all the specifications of this mouse in the description, as well as a link to the official page so you can see all the other details about it. But I just wanted to talk to you about it and show you how this system works. Basically, you can remove that back plate, and then this 10-gram weight goes in under there and adds a bit of an additional heft to the mouse. It's quite a lightweight mouse anyway, but the addition of that extra weight means that you can customize it to be the way you want it. It's worth noting that once you've installed that weight, it is a bit of a fiddle to get out. I had to use a knife to remove it. It's a nice little weight with the G logo on it, as well as that 10-gram marking, and it's dead easy to pop in, and it has this nifty little housing to it that then just slips back onto the mouse and is held in place with magnets. Magnets seem to be the theme on the G903 Lightspeed. Now, as I said, this is a wireless gaming mouse. You can see you can turn it on and off underneath there. And there's also a profile switching button that I'll cover a bit later on. It has up to 32 hours of battery life once you've charged it, and that's with the lighting turned off. 11 programmable mouse buttons with a really satisfying click to the left and right mouse button, and a mouse wheel that's sideways clickable. You'll see that close up in a minute. You'll see here on the right hand side that blanking plate that I was talking about. This is how it comes out of the box. That's just held in place with a couple of magnets. Now you can remove that and instead install the extra buttons that come in the box, and those can be customized within the software, and that is how you get your 11 buttons, and that's also the ambidextrous design to it. So you can remove the buttons from either side and swap them out and either have them on one side or the other side, or on both sides, or if you're really crazy, on no side at all. I have found that as a right-handed gamer that I've had a bit of a problem with it where I accidentally squeezed the ones on the right when I didn't mean to, so it might take some getting used to if you want to use all of them. As I said, this can be used in wired or wireless mode, and it comes with this angry looking micro USB charging cable that plugs into the front and has these like pins on it that essentially stop it from coming off easily, but it also looks pretty nifty. It's a very pointy, angry looking mouse, a sleek design to it. It's quite thin. I've got quite large hands, so if you're a big-handed gamer and you think that you need a good thumb rest or a nice hefty size mouse, this probably isn't it, to be honest. I find it feels quite small in the hand. It's not the smallest mouse I've tried by any means, but it's not the biggest either. However, I do really like the design and setup of it. You can see it has textured grips on either side, those easy access buttons, and it is really nice having mouse buttons on both sides. You don't often see that anymore. Most brands tend to stick to mouse buttons on the left side, and they focus more on right-handed gamers and ignore lefties or those people that like to do ambidextrous. But you can see a nice little setup of things in the box that includes the wireless dongle, 2.4 gigahertz, tiny little wireless dongle that also comes with this adapter. Now that adapter has a micro USB connection on it, and you can use that essentially by plugging in the standard micro USB cable into this adapter to then run it onto your desk. Essentially you're giving yourself a bit of a signal boost, but perhaps a bit of easier access. I like to think this is another good way to use the dongle rather than plugging it into your machine or taking it in and out and risking losing the dongle, because the dongle itself, which you can see just has that G903 emblazoned on it, is particularly small and could be easy to lose. And if you've got it on your desk, you then have easy access to the cable when you need it to plug into the mouse to keep it charged, which is another nice alternative. Now the G903 Lightspeed also has PowerPlay connectivity. Unfortunately, I don't have access to a PowerPlay mat, but it is a powered mouse mat from Logitech that allows you to then constantly charge the mouse and stop it from needing to plug in, which is pretty nifty. I've seen something similar with Razer's Hyperflux and Mamba setup, and Corsair has the dark core, which you can then put in the Qi charging point on the corner to allow it to charge. So the PowerPlay is another option. It is unfortunately an additional purchase, but 30-ish hours of battery life is quite promising, and plugging it in isn't too much of a faff. It also is a very responsive mouse, very accurate, and I haven't had any issues with it so far during use. I must say, when comparing it to the G502, which I'll do a video on soon, I think I prefer the 502 just with the setup and design of it with the thumb rests and such, but this has a number of similar features to that, and if you are an ambidextrous gamer or like mouse buttons on either side of your mouse, then this is worth considering. Like the 502, the 903 also has this mouse wheel that can be set in two different modes. You can set it with a textured feedback response, or you can press that button in and then you can spin the mouse wheel forever, and it just spins and spins and spins, and it's great. As I said, those side buttons come off on either side. They're just really held in place with magnets, so they're dead easy to remove, and the process is really simple. And there's a blanking plate for either side too, so you can easily cover them up if you either don't get on with it or if you don't want to use them for some reason. So it's nice little customization options. You obviously have that weight system, so you can adjust the weight, and you can also adjust the buttons. And not to mention the software adjustments that you can do and tweak the button setup too. But the addition of these extra buttons means that you get 11 total programmable buttons for this mouse. That does include the DPI switching buttons though, so if you are making full use of them, you might lose the DPI switching, but you know, that might not be an issue. If you like your DPI set to a certain level, a specific level all the time, then that's an option. As I said, I'll get to covering that software a bit later on and show you that, so stick with me as I'll talk through all those bits. This mouse has two RGB lighting zones. Essentially it includes the G logo and the DPI level indicator on the mouse as well. So if you're after RGB, this probably is not the mouse for you. However, if you want something that looks really angry and like it's been designed by aliens or something, then the G903 is a fantastic bit of kit. It's also a really nice looking mouse. It does perhaps feel a bit plastic, but I think that's probably because they've tried to shed as much weight as possible and then randomly included a weight that you can add to it, and to make it lightweight and accurate and agile on your desk, on your mouse surface, and responsive and fast for a good fast gaming session. And the result is pretty nice, but it just does feel perhaps quite cheap, and it is an expensive mouse, so I don't know. Be interesting to see how it holds up over time. Underneath, obviously, you have that G housing, Ptfe feet that glide nicely on the desk, a profile switching button, and the ability to turn it on and off. Now you can see here, these two buttons are the DPI level switches. You can go up and down between the various DPI levels that you can set in the software. You also see the other lighting zone that I was talking about here. You can change that within the G-Hub software as well. Here's another view of the wonderful spinny goodness of the mouse wheel, which was a highlight to the 502, you'll see in a second. And this sideways click, which is obviously makes up part of the 11 buttons, so either direction you can customize what those do as well. And the mouse wheel is perhaps one of the most satisfying things about the G903, in the same way it was the 502. It's a really nice looking mouse wheel, really nicely designed. I like how satisfying the spin is on this thing, and the fact that you can basically use that button as a brake to stop the mouse wheel from spinning when it gets going, and that's pretty satisfying too. Here you can see it spins and spins and spins. Looks kind of like a hamster wheel and the way it goes, but it just, if you get it going, it goes forever. And obviously you can use that in game for various different things, and you can use it within Windows. I like to use it like a little fidget spinner and just to satisfy my spinny needs. I'm not really into fidget spinners, that obviously was a joke, but you can see just like how customizable that is. Go between those two is not as funky. If you're into customizable mouse wheels, check out the Razer Basilisk Ultimate that I unboxed and covered recently, because you can fully adjust the feedback on that mouse wheel in small increments, which is much more interesting than the 903, but it is still pretty nifty. It's also a very good looking mouse too, as you can see. Now, diving into the G-Hub software, the interface itself is pretty simple. You have the light sync set up here, so you can sync it with other Logitech products. You also get to change the colors between the primary section and the logo as well. So you can see the primary is counted as those DPI switches, and then you can go into the logo and adjust that, and there's various different schemes, and you can adjust the colors within there or sync it with the other Logitech gear. In the button assignment section, you can see all the different buttons listed here, and you can click on them and then choose an assignment. So for here, I'm going to choose like the left click on the mouse wheel. You can see all the different commands. You can do keys, actions, macros. You can set up system things. You can do all sorts of things. You can use it to copy and paste, for example. Actions in Discord, different macros, all sorts of things. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to set it up to launch Steam. So you click on the launch button, then you find the relevant file in your program files, click save, and then you can then simply assign that. So here I already had a program assigned, and then you just click to assign a new program, and then when I right click, it opens Steam, and there it is. You can see that. So you could potentially set it to launch specific programs that you use on a regular basis. Just do whatever you want with it. You can customize all these buttons in a variety of different ways, which is really nifty. Now into the sensitivity section, as I said, you can adjust the DPI levels with the DPI switches on here. You'll also note there's a DPI shift button. You can drag and drop the DPI levels, and it goes up to 16,000 as the max DPI, and then you can switch between them by pressing those DPI buttons. But there's also this DPI shift button down here. Now you can assign a specific button on your mouse to then press and hold and drop to a set specific DPI level. This is kind of like sniper mode and Corsair's mice. A lot of mice have this option where you're just basically pressing a single button and going to a specific DPI level for a temporary period of time. Here I've assigned the one of the thumb buttons to it. You can see you can pick that, and then you can go and set that as the DPI shift. So now I've set that so it's 400. You can see it's highlighted in yellow, and you can click and do that. Now if you go into the cog menu on the top right, you'll also see a number of other options, including the button layout. So you can turn on and off the buttons that you're using, in the software as well as hardware level. You can also see things like the lighting and other things. Another thing you can do is onboard memory profiles. So you can set up profiles within the software and then assign them to a slot on the onboard memory. Doing so allows you to then press the button underneath the mouse, the textured one, to then switch between these profiles, and you can get up to 5 different profiles that you can customize within the software. So you can see there are plenty of different options for customizing this mouse within the software too. Hope you found this video useful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Hope you found this video useful, interesting or hilarious. Be sure to subscribe and check out these other videos, as well as taking a look in the description for links and other information you might find useful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or anything you'd like to see extra about this, and have a great life.